nuts. Stomp him in the nuts. Stomp him in the nuts. I'ma stomp him in the nuts. 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 I'ma stomp him in the nuts.
Haters say huh? Haters say what?
Stomp him in the nuts. I'ma stomp him in the nuts.
Colin Bay is by nature. Oh my! A left-hand center.
Performances matter in boxing. How a fighter performs during a fight determines the way fans see that fighter. That's why Mike Tyson, despite what anybody wants to say, oh, he fought a bunch of bums coming up. Perhaps that was true. But the way he murdered these bums, the way he knocked them out with one punch, that's the way you're supposed to beat an overmatched opponent. If you're so much better than someone, you should be knocking them out. Knockouts matter. A knockout is a difference from a cherry pick. Even if it's a cherry pick like Canelo versus Liam Smith, knockout of the year, no doubt in my mind that was knockout of the year. It changed my view of that fight completely. From a cherry pick to at least he knocked them out in brutal fashion. At least he couldn't get up from that knockout. That's what Canelo was supposed to do. Gennady Golovkin, yes, he was fighting a welterweight coming up, but he broke his eye socket. His corner stopped him. That's what he's supposed to do. That's the difference than Vladimir Klitschko going 12 rounds with what's his name, Brian Jennings, and who else he go 12 rounds with? I can't remember. Klitschko actually has a high knockout percentage, but like a Mayweather going 12 rounds with Andre Berto, or Andre Ward going 12 rounds with Alexander Brands, some guy he was supposed to send to hell. To hell. You are 100-1 favorite. Oh, then people wonder why. Hey, why don't you give these guys credit? Because their performances are poor relative to the competition. Mayweather's an 8-1 favorite against Maidana. And Maidana won 5-6 to even maybe 7 rounds in a lot of people's minds. You're supposed to send these guys to hell. You're supposed to knock their ass out. Imagine how much better performance that would have been if Mayweather knocked out Maidana, something no one had ever done. How good does that victory of Bradley knocking out Brandon Rios look? Ooh, he hit him to the body nasty. Because he knew Brandon couldn't make weight. He has an iron chin, but he has a jiggly belly. That's why guys like Kovalev and Golovkin are so popular. Because they get the knockouts and they push for the knockouts. And they risk getting exposed. They get hit. It's box. These box. They get punched in the face. They get bruises. They get black eyes because they get punched in the face. But they risk getting hit to get the knockout. Something guys like maybe Mayweather and Andre Ward and probably maybe a B-Hop as well I'll throw in there were scared to death of being knocked out, that they wouldn't risk the knockout. Bernard Hopkins later in his career, that's why after the De La Hoya fight, he didn't get a knockout ever again in 10 years of fighting. But Bernard Hopkins was a 39-year-old man when he knocked out De La Hoya. And not counting Victor Ortiz, Mayweather's last KO was in 2007. He is 30, I think he's 40 now, which that was 2007. That was 9 years ago. He was 31. 31. He still had 10 years of his career left. But 31 is way different than a 39, and we all know that. So I'll give Bernard a pass for not having a knockout in his 40s. He still had great wins against Winky Wright, Antonio Tarver, and Kelly Pavlik, and John Pascal. But I digress. Imagine how much more impressive those wins would have been if he was able to knock those guys out. His victories against De La Hoya and Trinidad were much more impressive because he got that knockout. Trinidad was undefeated. Oh, there was a great podcast on HBO Boxing on Hopkins versus Trinidad story. You guys have to check it out. It is incredible. I will be making some videos on that subject, not on the podcast, but on some of the subjects that were touched upon in that podcast. It was about an hour and a half long. It was good. It's good stuff, guys. You should check it out. But this performance, Michael Nunn, woo, knocking out a good opponent, Michael Callambay, who fought some of the best in his era. He beat Mike McCallum, who was one of the most skilled fighters ever, Hall of Famer, I believe. And knocking him out like that was way more impressive than the way he beat Iran Barkley, than the way he beat Frank Tate. Even though he did stop Frank Tate, he didn't knock him out cold like this. So fighters get criticized even though they dominate, like Terence Crawford did against Pascal. But if the only way to stop any criticism at all, is to get the knockout, even if it's a stoppage, to get the knockout. Because at that point, you cannot say that the other guy won the fight at all. Because, bro, you got knocked out. It's like Chavez claiming that he won the fight against Bonfora. It's like, dude, you quit. You lost. You lost. It's like not someone decided you lost. It's you couldn't continue, bro. You decided that you couldn't continue. And that's the way to stop criticism. Yes, Mayweather dominated Berto. Yes, he dominated Pacquiao. Imagine how much better that Pacquiao name. Pacquiao's a great name to have on your resume. Don't get me wrong. Morales had it. That was a great win. But Marquez has it as a knockout. So Marquez is the one that could claim it much, much more. The Pacquiao name on Marquez's resume looks way better than it does on Morales' resume, and especially than it does on Mayweather's resume, because he got the knockout. So I hope I made myself clear, and I hope I explained myself on why knockouts matter, and I hope this makes sense to everybody that is listening. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.